Welcome for... Oh, shit. Welcome to Roll for Lore, the podcast for you if you think way too much about Dungeons & Dragons. My name's Jessica.
My name's Sean.
And today we're talking about...
Bhaal!
Bhaal! Hit the theme. Now.
All right, theme song over.
Okay. Are we going to say that? Damn. Okay. I had it going good, and then the mics weren't on, and then we started, and I
Do you want to try again, and we just keep this for the Patreon?
No, I want them to see us in the raw like this.
Okay. For those of you who don't know, there's uncut episodes, which are exactly like these other episodes, because I do very little editing.
Oh, that's not... Well, we're getting fancy here, and there's going to be some actually cut stuff in the next couple episodes.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, because didn't we have some dead space? Anyways, why are we talking about this?
Yeah.
So I've finally gotten back on my podcast kick. I take kind of like these breaks where I listen to audiobooks, and then I need to catch up on a bunch of podcasts, and then I go back and forth. One that keeps popping up that I've been hesitant to open is the Adventure Zone, because it's been a rough going with them, at least the last couple for me.
They've done some of the best actual play podcasting of all time.
Of all time.
Hands down.
Yes.
I would say the Adventure Zone Season 1 Amnesty is the best actual play podcast of all time.
It's amazing. And I really liked the one after that, the Cryptonomica, and then I really liked Ether Sea. I fell off a little bit on the other ones, not going to lie. Have you listened to any of their newer stuff?
I listened to their live episode recently.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What are they doing for lives right now?
It was, I guess they're characters from the Versus Dracula. I want to go back and listen to the Versus Dracula podcast.
Yeah.
But it was, I guess they're characters from that at a haunted house doing like a Halloween murder mystery.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out who killed the fake Dracula, and everybody's like, oh, no, it's you guys. You killed the real Dracula.
That's really cool. Okay.
And it was hilarious.
I gotta listen.
And it really reminded me of why I fell in love with those boys in the first place. And the main show, My Brother and Me, has been real good the past couple months.
Yeah, I'm excited to get caught up on that. I started listening this year, and I'm laughing out loud again. Not that I never wasn't before. It's just been, I don't know. I do feel like COVID kind of, it brought down a lot of the entertainment industry. We didn't have a lot to talk about because for those years we were just like worried about keeping safe and healthy. So I feel like people are getting back in the swing of things.
You know, COVID ruined a lot of podcasts because a lot of my favorite podcasts have never been the same because they went to recording remotely and they never came back to being in person.
Oh, I see that. Okay.
Yeah, and it just loses something. That's what we're doing in person right now.
We do it in person, and I prefer it this way.
Do you guys feel the electric chemistry?
The chemistry.
Yes.
Leave a comment if you feel it or not on
yeah.
our iTunes
Either
or
way.
Spotify.
Either way. Because like one of my favorite podcasts, All Fantasy Everything, during the pandemic, two of the guys moved, and so now they're not even in the same city anymore, but they used to record in a studio at a podcast studio, Headgum. Shout out to Headgum if you guys need a D&D podcast. But yeah, and now they record just at their computers, and it just feels more rushed. It feels less like they're hanging out, more like they're doing a job. It's still good. I still listen every week.
Yeah, but it's not the same. That's why we are committed unless there's obviously extraneous circumstances to record in person, because I like this kind of like chat atmosphere that we have.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's actually, I don't know if you planned it this way, but your introduction, that was like the perfect introduction for Bhaal, because a murder mystery is so appropriate and within the wheelhouse of Bhaal as the god. So did you have that planned?
No, not at all.
That is so good. Okay, well, Bhaal. We're talking about Bhaal today, and Bhaal is the god of murder. He's the god of murder.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So
I knew that.
Murder mysteries. So Bhaal, I'm so glad you chose Bhaal. It's a nice little break because it's a god that has a little less like complex history or involved storytelling. So I can kind of just talk about Bhaal and like some of the weird shenanigans he got into. He also has a really small portfolio. I guess not small, but basic. So we don't have to go into all this crazy detail about him. But Bhaal, what do you know about Bhaal? Where do you know Bhaal from?
Well, what I know about Bhaal, I maybe be conflating with somebody else, but didn't he have like a son? Is that?
Yes. Well, he has lots of sons. Literally, one of my headers here is having babies.
Yeah, Bhaal has. That's what I know about Bhaal. He's evil. Mm-hmm. I think he attempted to depose a god sometime.
Yes.
And he procreates.
Yes. Yeah, that's pretty much it. He likes to murder, he likes to have sex, and he likes, just those two things pretty much.
In that order.
In that order. Sometimes together. Who knows? It's fantasy. Weird things happen. Bhaal, general. He is actually a former mortal. He did not start out as a god, which comes into play when you talk about he did murder a god or try to murder a god. It's like a little three amigo situation going on. He had two really close friends. One was called Bane and one was called Merkel. And they were just not generally good people.
Most people name Bane.
True. Is there any good Bane? Are there any good Banes?
No.
No, you're right. But Bhaal, former mortal turned into Lord of Murder. He's the god of violence and ritualistic killing.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. His portfolio kind of centers around murder and death itself, but he was initially worshipped by assassins. It seems like as the years went by, kind of the worship of Bhaal got tainted by people who just murder for fun. Bhaal has no problem with that, but initially he was worshipped by assassins because the whole ritualistic killing of people in a way that's like really stealthy or really well planned out. So it was just like this huge ritual. But as like the ages go on, murderers started worshiping him as an excuse to like murder people because they're like hailing Bhaal, and Bhaal was like, okay, I'm chill with that too. So his portfolio is the dominion of murder, both as a ritual and violent act. He believes murder is both a divine right and a game that people can play. So murdering is all fun and games to him. He draws power from violent deaths affecting the souls of the deceased. So he's all about that.
This guy sounds like a lot of fun.
He sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, he's so much fun. He has three aspects, one of which is literally a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
What? Hell yeah.
He appears in three forms. Khazgoroth is one of the forms. It's a shape-shifting aspect that he takes on, but it's often in the form of a Tyrannosaurus Rex. He got that form from actually some tainted creature was drinking from a pool that he appears out of, his aspects appear out of, and then he ended up tainting that and can now take on the form of it. I don't know. Again, God shenanigans.
These are some great top tier shenanigans.
So that's one of his aspects that he appears as. He most often appears as the Slayer aspect, which is a humanoid corpse with a feral face, gray skin, and often appears out in like the more urban areas. His third and final aspect is the Ravager, which is a 30-foot monster with horns, a mane, and fiery eyes, and that appears in rural regions. So,
well, I'm glad I live in an urban area.
I know. I wonder why he makes those distinctions, but he does. Abilities. So there's a lot of abilities that are centered around Bhaal and murder. I found this really interesting Redditor comment about Bhaal certainly claiming to be the strongest of the dead three with his powers, because he boasts that he can overcome Bane, who's the god of... Oh, no. I have it in here somewhere, but Bane, he's one of the gods. He can overcome Bane by slaying all of his faithful. And then Merkel, who's the god of death, I know that. He can starve Merkel by not killing people. So Bhaal feels like he is the greater of the three. But his abilities are around murder and the enhancement of violence and violent intent. He uses like aura of murder to rally people around him for murder. He used Death's Embrace to claim souls of those who die violently and use that power to feed his portfolio and his strength. And assassination, he's the lord of cunning and stealth and allows for invisibility and undetectability for his assassins. and shadow manipulation. So he's got a little bit of ties in there with Shar because he is the god of murder and death and deceit. So those are some of his abilities.
Those are dope abilities.
I know.
This guy's a badass.
So when I was looking a little bit about him, as far as like alignment goes, it does say that he is neutral evil. And it's one of the YouTubers that I was listening to when they were saying, like, recommending him for a backstory or lore in your character building, that think of Bhaal as less of like this crazy, like insane murderer kind of guy and more like a stealthy assassin, like cool, calm and collected murderer.
Yeah, a cool, calm, collected guy that sometimes turns into a T-Rex.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, yeah. What would a calm guy turn into?
A raptor.
A rabbit. A what?
A raptor.
Oh, raptor. I think you were going to say rabbit because that's what I was thinking.
Oh, well, maybe. Like a murderous rabbit.
Yeah, hey. That's some Monty Python shit. So, like I said, he used to be immortal. He started off in the world as a mortal with his buddies. They were called the Dark Three, which was Bane, Merkel, and Bhaal. Bane is the god of tyranny. Merkel is the god of dead, and Bhaal is the god of murder. But they started out as mortals. And they just kind of got together one day, and you're like, wouldn't it be really cool if we could become the most powerful god in the world over death? Like, that's the most powerful. Let's all become the gods over death. So they forged a pact to achieve godhood or die trying, with their eyes on ultimate prize of the portfolio of Jurgol, who was the god and lord of the lord of the end of everything.
That's a cool title.
I know.
Not enough campaigns have like people coming together to make a pact to do something or death.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Well, so when they're running around trying to figure out ways to overcome Jurgol, they ally with a bunch of random people. And I did intend to go back. Oh, I did. No. Nope, I didn't do it. Including the Wizards of Barzay. I don't know if you know who those people are. I do not. The nomadic peoples of Varam, the Knoll warriors of Flindike, the Goliaths of Akaro, and the gnomes of Forharn. Those were like their allies that kind of helped them devise a plot to kill Lord Jurgol.
They got gnomes in on this?
They got a lot of people in.
They got the gnomes?
The gnomes, the gnolls.
Well, gnolls are evil.
They're kind of cute.
Yeah, they're cute little dog evil people. But gnomes...
And wizards.
Well, wizards can go either way.
Yeah, that's true. Well... They all devised this plan to kill. There was a god that was weak, and it was Maram, which was a powerful elder evil who had been summoned to the material plane during the Seven Sigils War by these wizards of the Netheril, like we talked about last time. So they had been summoned, and he was weak because of the summoning. So the Dark Three saw him and killed him, and used that opportunity to gain his power by defeating him.
So those are the wizards that had the upside down mountain towers.
Yes, yeah. They did a bad thing, as wizards do, and summoned someone that they couldn't control and brought this evil god into existence. Well, the Dark Three, or the Dead Three as they're later known, end up killing this god, take part of his divine essence, and use that divine essence to sneak into the Grey Waste in search of the Castle of Bone, which is where Jurgol lives.
So far, I'm on board for all of this.
Okay, perfect. So they sneak in. They fight through legions of undead. I mean, honestly, it sounds like it's a badass story. Like,
yeah, this sounds great. I want to play in this campaign.
Yeah, me too. So they fight through these legions of undead with skeletons, zombies, specters, wraiths, liches, and they arrive at the throne. And they're like ready to fucking kill him. They're like, it's time for you to go down. We're going to take your portfolio. Well, Jurgol is like, finally, yes, you guys can have it. Don't worry about it. You can have my portfolio. I just want you guys to play a game to compete to see who gets to take what parts of my abilities.
Oh my gosh, I literally just bought a shirt. I'm not wearing it right now.
I know you just looked down at your shirt. Yeah.
I bought a shirt. This is like, do not play games with death. And it's got death shooting pool on it. And it says, he cheats and he's just annoying. And then down below that, it says he's not welcome or invited.
Yes, that's perfect. This was all meant to be.
Do not play games with death.
Nope.
Have you not watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures?
He was stoked. He's like, I'm bored of this. I don't want to be this god anymore. You can take it. But I want y'all to play a game of skull bowling.
Of what?
Skull bowling.
What?
Skull bowling.
Is it like bowling but with a skull?
I don't know. I didn't Google it. I just left it as that because that's how I see it in my head. Skull bowling.
This was so epic and badass.
And now they're bowling. Jordan, you hear that? They're bowling.
For those who don't know, Jordan is a championship level bowler.
Championship. So I don't know. I just says interrupted by the god Malar. Malar interrupted this bowling match, so they didn't get to finish it. So Jurgle was like, you know what? Let's just play Knucklebones instead, and whoever wins gets to choose first, and the second winner gets to choose the next.
Like in The Witcher.
Yeah. So they literally play jacks to see who gets what powers of death. Bane won first. So he gained the dominion over hatred, strife, and tyranny, which was the most out of the three. Some would say that he's more powerful because of that, but that's, I guess, up to interpretation. Merkel's who won next. He finished second, and he received the control over the dead. So just anybody who's dead, he has control over them. And then Bhaal, as the third, decided to use the act of death and murder as his portfolio piece. So amongst the three, they divided the power of Jurgle, and I guess Jurgle just took a hike or something. I'm not really sure what happened to him, but...
Yeah.
I think he did say that. I do remember reading somewhere in my notes that he agreed to just kind of help the three of them grow into their power and advise them until they're ready to rule on their own. So I don't know if he's still hanging out as some weird uncle, but yeah. So
you're totally going to come across his aspect in our pirate game.
Oh, that would be cool.
I assume he's a skeleton, and pirates live skeletons.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. So that is how Bhaal came to be a god, which is a pretty cool story. I like it.
And his best friends. This is kind of like a weird episode of Superbad.
It is. And then the sequel is now, of course, Bane, Merkel, and Bhaal all hate each other because they want each other's portfolios because only one wants to be the god of death now. So why can't these guys just get along and be happy and evil together?
I don't know.
You need to answer this for me. Well, so that all happened. Then remember, Ao got pissed at everyone for doing this same exact bullshit. So the Time of Troubles came along, and Bhaal and all of his buddies were sent to Earth as mortals. While they were on Earth, some dude called Cyric, we'll talk about him a little bit, but he decided to kill Bhaal while he had the opportunity. So Mask, do y'all remember Mask?
No, I don't.
Mask is Shar's son. Shar killed Mask. Mask was kind of cunning, but...
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Well, Mask disguised himself as a weapon, a sword, called God's Bane, and Cyric took this weapon and killed Bhaal with it. So now Bhaal's dead. Bhaal doesn't exist anymore. So Cyric then started claiming to be the Lord of Murder himself. So Cyric killed Bhaal using the sword of God's Bane, which was in fact the god Mask in disguise. Cyric then claimed parts of Bhaal's portfolio after his death, incorporating murder into his own domain for a time. Because of this, Bhaal obviously really hates Cyric, and though the specifics are complex, we're not really sure if he also hates Mask, because we don't know if he knew Mask was the sword.
But how does Bhaal hate anybody? He's dead.
I'll get to that. So it's like when these gods get murdered during the Time and Troubles, I feel like it's their essence or just some floats around and observes or something. Because first off, Bhaal knew he was going to die because of a prophecy that came about warning all gods who were going to be involved in the Time of Troubles of their eventual demise. So he started just having tons of babies. He started, and specifically with mortal women. Not really sure why, but it wasn't other gods. He would just have sex and create all these childrens because he wanted to find an heir. And that heir is essentially would be the person that he revives as after their death or something. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes perfect sense.
It sounds like God shenanigans. So these children, known as Bhaal spawn, essentially were vying and fighting each other to see who would be the successor. And so he just kept having kids, and their goal in life was to kill each other and fight their way to the top.
Like that movie, The One with Jet Li.
Yeah. Or like Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, which is the whole plot, I guess, of Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. I've not played Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, so I can't speak more to that, but that's what my notes say. So they had a bunch of babies. He gets killed by Cyric. Now, all these god children exist, and they're fighting each other to take up on the portfolio, and they want one to fight and kill all of them and gain all the powers together, and then they turn back into Bhaal. And I don't know exactly my notes where it is, but essentially it comes down to two people, and the two people kill each other in this act, and because they both die, Bhaal comes back to life. So it's pretty... Yeah, I mean...
What?
I don't know.
His plan backfired positively.
Yes, exactly.
Mission failed successfully.
It's good job, Bhaal. So these Bhaal spawn, the two final Bhaal spawn that fought each other were called Abdel Adrian, who is one of the main characters of Baldur's Gate 2. But Abdel Adrian is one of the most famous Bhaal spawn and became a beloved figure within the city of Baldur's Gate. He's known for his strength and heroism, and he's often depicted as a warrior who tries to resist the murderous impulses inherited by his father. The other child that kind of made it to the end was somebody named Viking. So essentially the story accumulates in this tragic showdown in Baldur's Gate where Abdel and Viking are fighting each other, and no one can really tell who wins and loses because as one dies, the other turns into this like crazy monstrous being that runs around the city and wreaks havoc until it's killed. So yeah, those were his two most famous children.
Wow. Father of the Year.
I also looked up like, okay, who are these? Are there any women? And it literally says like the names and the stories of the women are inconsequential. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Did it say if he paid child support?
I'm guessing no. I did see a little excerpt that was interesting. It said something like most Bhaal children were so disgusted that their godfather copulated with a mortal that they didn't acknowledge their mother's existence. And I was like, God, these kids sound great.
Wow.
What a good time, huh? Yeah, so those are kind of like the main things that he's involved in. I mean, he's appears in Baldur's Gate 3. He's part of a bunch of other campaigns and plots, but those are the bigger stories about Bhaal. His clergy is not much to talk about. It's really disorganized. There's not like any definitive structure. As I had said, murder is seen as a duty and ritual, so all of his clergy is expected to perform a murder once every 10 days.
Whoa!
Yeah, that's a lot, huh?
That's a lot of murder.
Yes, yeah. It is encouraged that these murders take place at the darkest hour, at the darkest time of the day, but obviously he's a little forgiving. Like, you can't really plan murder sometimes.
Yeah. Wow. Once every 10 days.
So talking a little bit more about Cyric. So when Cyric took on essentially Bhaal's power, he created his own sect of Bhaalists, which they're more urban clergy. But there was still a sect called Deathstalkers that were dedicated to reviving Bhaal. So as Cyric is doing his thing, these Deathstalkers are trying to kill all of Cyric's agents to try to get the children of Bhaal to come up and fight each other and claim their lord's power. So, but the most notable Bhaalist, Cyric Bhaalist, was Abden Adrian, like we just talked about. Allies and foes. So it's pretty much all the same as Shar. Talona, the goddess of disease and poison, was one of Bhaal's closest allies. They're aligned because they both share this pragmatic approach to pain and death, and Talona's control over suffering and complements Bhaal's obsession with murder. So poison and murder are good. They go hand in hand.
Match made in heaven.
Yeah, they're beautiful together. So there's a god named Larvitar, and it looks like that Pokemon name. There's a Pokemon called like Larvitar or something, and every time I see it, I think of that. But
hey, shout out to Princess. Have you seen Princess's new Instagram stuff?
No.
She's like becoming a Pokemon influencer. She
put it on. Did you see her screen this morning? Or were you in any of the meetings?
No.
Oh, she has it all set up really cool too. She's upgraded her setup.
Yeah, shout out to Princess. Everybody Princess. Go follow Princo on Instagram.
Yes.
Go follow.
Well, this Larvitar is the goddess of pain and suffering and was also allied with Bhaal. I don't think I really need to explain why. It just makes sense. Foes. So Shanti. God, Bhaal hates Shanti. He hates goddess of life, growth, and fertility, and that makes sense.
That's the opposite of what he likes.
Yeah. Shanti's followers are often at odds with Baal's worshippers, especially when it comes to preserving life, and that makes total sense. Shanti represents the antithesis of their beliefs about death as the ultimate power. So, yeah, they're probably, I guess, the most mortal enemies within the group. Helm, the god of protection and guardianship, that makes sense. Ilmater, the god of endurance and martyrdom, that would make sense. Lyra, the goddess of joy, and Tyr, the god of justice. He hates those guys. The most deep-seated hatred that Bhaal has is for Mask and Cyric, like I had mentioned, because everything Cyric did. So, yeah, that's that. Artifacts. There's only one artifact that I could find that your campaign users can use that is related to Bhaal.
Oh, only one?
Only one, but it has a lot going on with it. So it's called the Knife of the Lord. It's Bhaal's actual weapon. It requires attunement, and it has 3 power levels. How do power levels work? I've never seen that before. Do you get a certain power, or like at a certain level you can unlock more ability with it?
I don't know.
Interesting. We'll have to remember to look that up for the next episode. But there's 3 power levels. One's dormant, one's awakened, and one's exalted. They're +1, +2, and +3 attack respectively. And the dormant and awakened ones cast invisibility, awakened greater invisibility that resets at a long rest. And when it's dormant, you can mark targets for increased damage. When it's awakened, you can consume that mark for a penalty, but to give a penalty to the other person. And at exalted rank, you can transfer the mark to a target within 30 feet without using an ability to mark them. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
That's cool.
That was their one artifact, and I actually have fun facts this time. I did it in correct order. Fun facts, Knucklebones. So Knucklebones is Jax. I Googled Knucklebones. I had never heard of it before. Well, I've heard of it before, but I guess I've never cared enough to look up what that
Heavily
was.
Featured in season 1 of The Witcher.
Yes, it is just Jax. So not only did they bowl, but they played Jax for power, which is awesome. I love that. Bhaal has an imp servant. He has a little imp servant named Kespinar. So there's that.
Why
he just does things for him. He's his little servant. He carries out deeds, and yeah, that's no personality traits other than his name. It's his buddy imp. So there's that.
You gotta have an imp buddy, man.
Yeah. Mythology. So Bhaal is based on the god Bhaal.
Whoa.
Well, his name is most likely drawn from the Canaanite and Phoenician deity Bhaal, but who was associated with fertility, storms, and war, which isn't the same, but it's Baal's name started to get associated because of storms and darkness and war with like demonic connotations in the later Abrahamic religions. So he wasn't ever like Bhaal itself, but I'm guessing inspiration was pulled from that. Hecate is actually, if we're talking about gods in existing pantheons in the real world, Hecate is probably the closest. Hecate is a goddess of magic and crossroads, but is sometimes associated with ghosts and the underworld, and has like similar mystical undertones of the dead 3 in some of her myths, like having these 3 people that go out and do these deeds to overcome death. Hecate's role as a goddess who can move between realms, the realms of death and magic, is kind of what Bhaal does in secrecy with assassination.
And casting shadow.
Yeah, exactly. So that's probably the closest mythological reference. The other fun fact is the concept of the deadly trio in mythology. It made me think of the Deathly Hallows, or like the 3.
Oh, 3 is always a bad number. 3 is an omen.
Yeah. So inspiration for the Dark 3. Triads of gods are common in mythology, and they often embodify different aspects of a single domain. So it makes sense that there's 3 gods of murder, death, and I guess tyranny. So that's all about Bhaal. It's not all. It's a lot. It's cool stuff.
That was awesome.
I really want to. Well, first off, what do you think's the most interesting part of Bhaal that I just described, or something that you
probably the part when he impregnated a bunch of innocent women and then had a generation of children fight each other.
To what end? Like why?
And then they killed each other, so his plan didn't work, but somehow it actually worked out better and just brought him back to life.
Yeah.
Like, that's the best part.
It's pretty, now that you say it like that, it's pretty anticlimactic, right? Like, You did all that for years and years and years, and
Yeah.
yeah, well,
I like that. And, I like the rags to riches story.
mm-hmm. Yes. I think that I'm really interested in the elder evils. So like that part where the three of them killed Maymar or whatever to get part of his power so they could then kill the god. I've never heard of the elder evils, and I kind of want to look into that.
Yeah, we got to check into that.
What do you think? Okay, you had brought up a murder mystery party, right? If Bhaal hosted a murder mystery party.
One, somebody would actually be dead.
Yes, but who would he invite and why?
Well, who would he invite? Well, it's tricky because it sounds like he has no god friends left.
No, yeah, he kind of
burned all his bridges. I guess he probably invite some of the, what were they called? The Shadow Seekers?
Oh, yeah.
Was that what they were called? His cult?
His cult. They're called Death Stalkers.
Death Stalkers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably invite some Death Stalkers. I guess he's cool with Shar. He could.
Ooh, that would be cool.
I guess Shar's like the only person he's on talking terms with.
Oh, and the goddess of poison.
Oh yeah, the goddess of poison. She could come. One time I went to a murder mystery party.
Yeah,
and
I've never been to one.
Oh really? It was so much fun. It was with my mom and my mom's friends.
Cool.
Who my mom was an elementary school teacher, and my character was. Like, everybody was kind of a caricature from pop culture. And mine was the guy who wrote Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. What's his name?
Oh, I'm the worst person to ask that question.
Yeah, my character was like an alcoholic journalist.
Cool.
And so I got actually really drunk. I got really, really drunk.
Fun.
And I had the hiccups so bad.
No.
And everybody thought I was just acting, like I was pretending to have hiccups because they were so over dramatic.
I hate it when they get that bad too. Like they're.
But yeah, I had a lot of fun.
That's cool.
I like murder mystery parties. We'll have one time.
I would love to do that.
Yeah, we'll do one. We'll do one for the Patreon.
Hell yeah! I love it.
Subscribe to the Patreon. Yeah. But yeah, Bhaal, man, murder mystery party. That sounds like something he would love. But anyway, the thing I was going to say is at the end of it, everybody would be dead. He would
true.
He would kill everyone.
It has to be.
You know what game he would love? Among Us.
Ooh.
He would be a big fan of Among Us.
So if Bhaal, yeah, I think he would.
He would be a world champion Among Us.
Do you think he'd be good at it?
Yes, he'd be the best.
Okay. I think so too, yeah. I want to go toe-to-toe with Bhaal and Among Us, that's for sure. I don't want to go against many people. I'm very bad at that game.
I mean, he loves games. He's playing Knucklebones. He's playing Skull Bowling.
That's true.
He's a big gamer.
Do you think...
What other gamer gods are there? Bhaal's the god of death and games.
Okay.
Okay, he's not actually the death god.
No, he is now the death of... He's now the god of games, not the death of games.
There's probably a god who has like games in their portfolio. This is D&D after all.
That's what my next episode can be on.
Whoever has games.
Yeah, who's the closest to games? Yeah, because I don't know. I'm just touching my toes in the surface of the water here with all these gods.
There's so many.
There's so many. Oh, and that's what you had reminded me when you said that. He's considered a lesser deity. He's considered the lowest tier of a deity, which is interesting because he has the most lore. Like some of the most lore.
Well, a lot of that lore comes from Baldur's Gate.
I guess that's true. You're right. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't talk about his divine realm at all, but I did have notes on it. He's found in a place in some alternate dimension.
Some alternate dimension, yeah.
That's just how they all live.
Nasty.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have about Bhaal. I'm glad you suggested him because it was fun. It was a little less pressure because Shar and Saloon are like huge right now in the Baldur's Gate community. So I felt like that was a lot of pressure. But Bhaal was fun because I could detach myself a little bit from it.
Yeah, and it's fun to do the bad guys too.
I love the bad guys. I love them. I guess maybe that means, though, the next episode, we got to do one good guy. That's what my next episode is going to be on. I'm going to find a really interesting good guy to talk about. One that's a little more complex than...
How about Lathander?
We can talk about him, yeah.
He seems important.
Yeah, let's talk about Next will be Lathander. And we'll jump back over to our boys, Merkel and Bane at some point, but it'd be kind of boring to do them all back to back.
If you were going to bring Bhaal into a campaign as a dungeon master, how would you do that?
I really like this idea of infighting between insects. And I like this idea of like the assassins are kind of hoity-toity about their worship of Bhaal because they do it ritualistically and they put a lot of care into the murder and planning to the murder. Whereas like there's the more Cyric clergy that is fascinated with just violence overall. I would play a character that is neutral evil, and it would be a Bhaal assassin who is trying to prove that the only right way to worship Bhaal is through planned, meticulous assassinations.
Okay, that'd be dope.
I don't know what class because we haven't gotten to those classes yet. So I guess it would have to be sorcerer. Don't know.
We'll do rogue soon.
Okay. I'm playing a rogue right now in Dragon Age, so been really into it lately.
Nice. How's Dragon Age going?
Oh, I haven't played the new one yet. It came out a couple days ago. I didn't get to play it because I'm really weird. I'm probably on the spectrum in some ways, but I have to finish the third game again before I play the fourth one. Because the story, it impacts the decisions in the next game, and I want all my decisions to be made organically and put into the next game.
Sounds important.
Okay. It's obsessive, and there's really no reason I should be doing it this way, but I am. It's fun. I'm having a good time.
Yeah. Well, hey, great job on this episode.
Great. Thank you.
It was very entertaining.
Thank you.
I was on the edge of my seat.
I can tell.
Yeah.
We're ready. We're ready for got a bonus episode to record now.
All right, let's record a bonus episode.
Thanks for rolling with us.